First thing to know about the police force is they're a company. They're a registered company doing business for profit. They make profit from every time they fine you, every time you go to prison, every time they do any action on you, they get money. Okay? And I just put Essex Police in there, and literally I've got all the branches. I think I found the one in Basildon is one of the branches of the headquarters that are in Chelmsford. Okay? So, as I said before, we used to have constables who are there to serve and protect us and uphold the common law. And very, very slowly they got morphed into these police officers, enforcing statutes illegally. But the thing is, underneath this guy's uniform is this guy. Because they all swear the same constable's oath. And this is the constable's oath. And in it says things like upholding fundamental human rights and prevent all offences against people and property. It's these guys just lately that are causing all these offences against people and their property. Yeah. So here's a gang of 6 police officers honouring their solemn oath to serve and protect. I don't know, when it loops around again, watch the other woman in this and watch what she's doing. Watch what she's doing. She's grabbing the crutch out of the guy's hand, it looks like. Are they beating up? And this is, I don't think this is in this country, this is some other country, but it doesn't matter because we're seeing this everywhere now. If you've been to a protest, what you'll see is a couple of guys beating up somebody in the middle, and you've got a ring of policemen going, stay back, stay back. Yeah? Well, I can't watch this too much anyway.
Unless you chuck in a statue,
yeah. Unless you're doing something that the system likes. So the thing about the police is that they have the same powers and duties that you have. Okay? You have the power of arrest. Just because they call it citizen's arrest doesn't make it any different from what the police can do. Okay? And also you have a duty as a sovereign being that if there is a crime being committed right in front of you, it is your duty to do to the best of your ability to go and stop that crime. Okay, that is our duty. The only difference between us and the police is that we pay them to do that full time. Okay, no difference. They haven't got any power over you unless you commit a crime, of course. I should put that before all of these. Unless you've committed a crime, they've got no power over you whatsoever. At all. Yeah. They have no jurisdiction over civil matters. Okay, so anything that isn't a crime, they've got no jurisdiction over. They can't do anything about it. Okay?
You're referring to a crime in law or common law?
Well, law is common law. So a crime, requires an injured party. If there's no injured party, there's no crime. Yeah? If there's no crime, the police can't get involved. They do get involved. Why do they get involved? Because all of us believe they can. Well, not all of us, but the muggles out there who watch television, right? There's a reason why there's so many crime and TV and police shows on TV, so that you believe that they can do all sorts of things they actually can't. Yeah? So the only reason they think they can is because the public opinion believes that they can. Yeah? So, in order to do anything to you, they need to identify you first. If you commit a crime, they don't need to identify you, they can just grab you and haul you off. But if it's a civil matter, or they need to identify you to make you the same as one of those legal fictions, now they can have power over you. And for that, to identify you, they need your name, date of birth, and address. Okay? So when you start talking to a copper, they don't really they don't want to be your friend. Yeah, they don't care really, whether you're having a nice day or not. Yeah, they're trying to get authority over you. They're trying to get you to confess to something. They're trying to get you to argue, because there's a place for arguments. They call that court. Yeah. They're trying to actually fill their quota because they're on a quota system. Yeah, they've got to have so many arrests and interactions, otherwise their jobs are in peril. So if they arrest you, best thing to do, again, if they arrest you and you haven't committed a crime, well, they're trying to get you on a civil matter, which they can't do. So the best thing you can do is remain silent. Don't say anything. And the most they can do is hold you for 24 hours, 23 hours and 59 minutes. Yeah? Because arrest without charge, which is what you'll end up being in, so if you got hauled away on during a protest, the likelihood is you get released without charge. Well, arrest without charge is assault and false imprisonment. Okay, you can go after them for that. Yeah? Including this thing called misconduct in public office, which has teeth because it gives the sentence is a life sentence for anyone who breaks that. Okay, got real teeth. So, do you need to give your details? No, you don't. When remember, if you haven't committed a crime, no power over you whatsoever. Yeah. Again, they're trying to get information. They're trying to identify you so they can do something to you. Right? So you have the right to remain silent. Okay? So if they try and arrest you for not giving your details, what's the first line of the police caution? Does anyone remember?
Do not have to say anything.
So in other words, you have the right to remain silent. So how can you be arrested for exercising your right to remain silent if the first words of the arrest are, you've got the right to remain silent? It's a nonsense. Yeah, but unless you point that out to them, right, well, they'll just go ahead and arrest you for it. Okay? Right, so they have a flow chart they have to follow. Right, so it's the 4 E's. Engage, explain, encourage, and enforce. Now, they can't jump straight to enforce. They have to go through each step. Okay? So, hello, sir. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Right, I can tick off engage. Right, I've engaged with him. Okay. Well, I'm here to tell you about the Coronavirus Act. You're not allowed to be in a place with more than 2 people. Well, you don't even have to answer or say anything because now I've explained to you. Yeah. Well, I suggest you go home now because otherwise I might be forced to arrest you. Now I've encouraged you. Now, if you don't go, now I can jump to, enforce. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right, so I've got a little video here. I'm not going to, I guess I have to preface it a bit. I went to a stand in the park one day and I went into a cafe that's on the park. And I didn't have a mask on, I had a little altercation, nothing major, it was just a back and forth chat. And, I refused to go for a little while. But eventually I said, yeah, okay, I'll leave you to it. And I went back and I sat on the grass. A few minutes later, the police turned up because he called the police on me. And 4 policemen came out. So they didn't just want to chat to me, they were after an arrest. Because they don't send 4 people out just to have a chat. Okay. So it's a bit noisy to start with. But after it calms down a little bit, you'll hear what I'm saying to the police officers. So, I'm sitting on the grass here. You won't hear anything for a while. So I'm saying Rice versus Connolly, 1966. Everybody else joins in, this is critical. Two more coppers coming up here. Right, so you see there, they've got into their huddle, and eventually all they just wandered off. Yeah, because literally they couldn't do anything. I wouldn't let them get past engage. Yeah, every time they opened their mouth, they said, "Sir, Rice versus Conley, 1966." Must have said it about 30 times, right? And literally, if I didn't know what I was doing, I'd have been arrested that day, right? Because, if you don't know, you end up falling into their trap, just like I did with David just a minute ago. Yeah, you end up falling into their trap, and they presume they have the right to do what they do. So Rice versus Connolly is a bit of case law that it was ruled, while there may be a moral duty to speak to police, there is no legal one. Okay? You do not have to speak to police. If you've not committed a crime, you don't have to talk to them. And when you talk to them, they are trying to get evidence against you. So when you open your mouth, you're likely to convict yourself. Okay, so you can just turn your back on them. You can just walk off. If they're persistent, they'll follow you. But yes, you don't have to talk to them at all. So can they fine you or seize your property? Well, it turns out they can't. Yeah, we have two pieces of what known as constitutional law. Okay, the British Constitution, the Magna Carta 1215, Article 39. Basically says, no free man is to be arrested or imprisoned or deceased, that means dispossessed, or outlawed or exiled or in any way ruined, except by lawful judgment of his peers and by law of the land. And said, Houseby's Laws of England refers to the Magna Carta as a founding document of the British Constitution. So it's not out of date, it's not repealed, it is a founding document of our Constitution. Another part of our Constitution is the Bill of Rights Act, 1689. And it says, all grants and promises of fines and forfeitures of a particular person before conviction are illegal and void. Yeah? So, what the police, when they fine you or take your property away from you, seize, I like to use the word seize, it just sounds a bit different from thieve. Yeah? When they seize your property, yeah, they can't do it. What they're doing is denying you due process of law. Okay? In this country, you are innocent until proven guilty. So how can you punish an innocent person? So if you're fining somebody or taking their property, you're fining or stealing from an innocent person. Until they're convicted, they're still innocent. So yeah, they've got no right to do either. Okay? And I'm sick of seeing things like this. I'm seeing this all over Facebook as well. Police departments proudly saying how they've seized somebody's car because they've not paid tax and stuff like that. Okay? They can't do it. I sent a Freedom of Information request to Greater Manchester Police saying, asking them, what is the lawful basis of your seizures? They sent me a whole stack of legislation to look at. It took me 3 days to look through it. And what I found out was they have no lawful basis of seizing property. What they do is they convince you that they have the power to do that. They get you out of the car, and once you're out of the car, they'll say, okay, we can take you wherever you want to go, to the station, to give you a travel document or whatever, get the hell out of here. And then they come back to the car and go, oh look, an abandoned car. We'll move that for safety. And then they salvage that car. That's it. It's the law of the sea. Can you be detained by the police? Well, no, they can't lawfully detain you at all. So detention is false imprisonment. Yeah? And even a threat of arrest is assault. If they seize you, while they say we're going to arrest you and they seize you, they grab you, that's battery. So if they threaten to arrest you and seize you, that's assault and battery. And so the best way around it is to put them into a double bind. Okay? Am I under arrest? Well, no, you're not. Oh, that means I'm free to go, yeah? No, you're not. Oh, so I must be under arrest. No, you're not. Oh, so I'm free to go, am I? No, you're not. Oh, so I must be under arrest. So eventually they get bored and they'll let you go. Yeah? So, dealing with police. First of all, don't be intimidated by TV shows. As I said, that's what they're there for. So make you intimidated. Yeah? Don't be intimidated by the uniform. The uniform is designed to make you afraid. Yeah? The blue lights are there to make you afraid. Yeah? I don't care how brave you are, how much knowledge you have. If you're driving, you see those blue lights behind you, you get a stab of fear. Is it me? What have I done? Yeah? Same thing when two of these fluorescent idiots come towards you, all glowing. Yeah? The first thought is, are they coming for me? What have I done? It's designed to put you off your game, essentially. So again, remember, if you've not committed a crime, they've got no power over you. They need something called reasonable articulable suspicion. If they want to search you, for instance, they need a reasonable reason. They can't say, well, I don't like the way you look, or I don't think you should be here. It's not reasonable. They have to have a reasonable suspicion. They have to be able to articulate it properly. They need you to give them authority, your authority. They need you to answer their questions. They need you to argue. They need you to confess. If you don't do any of that, they've got nothing. Okay? Rice versus Conley is a good way. Saying I don't answer questions, it's a good way, but what they'll do is they'll continue to ask you questions, and eventually you'll slip up, and then you've invalidated what you said earlier on. So you've got to be very wary. Okay. So best not say anything at all to police. But if you do, stay calm but assertive. In this country, we're taught to be, what's the word? Polite, subserviently polite. Subserviently polite. So people start conversations with, sorry, or excuse me, when I'm teaching, I teach peace constables, and when we did the role plays, there's a policeman talking to a victim, and somehow the peace constables got to get involved, and they often go, sorry, or excuse me. Yeah, that's being subservient. That's giving power away to whoever you're talking to. Yeah, so you've got to learn to be calm yet assertive. So this is what asserting yourself looks like.
Yeah, it was on the road. It wasn't on the road, it was on the driveway. It was on the pathway.
Okay.
Yeah. And I put it in my car.
Yeah.
Yeah. I own the bike.
Okay, and I appreciate you said that.
Yeah.
But I just want proof that you...
I don't have to show you proof, okay? How about that? Listen, do I lawfully have to show you proof that I purchased that bike? Answer the question and be very, very careful about what comes out of your mouth, Constable. Do I have to... No, you don't want to cause conflict, but what you want to do is you want to give half-truths and half-statements without informing. Do I legally have to show you proof that I bought that bike? Answer the question. Would you like me to answer it for you? The answer is no, I don't. So I'm going to say to you again, I bought the bike, it's going to stay in my car until I decide to take it out. Now you're no longer required. Goodbye. You're a public servant. And how can you tell me I'm not your boss? Everybody around here who pays tax is your boss. You're going to tell me that he's throwing over to the Queen? Yeah? And when is the last time Britain had a monarchy, mate? When's the last time we weren't governed by a parliament? About you're a crown servant. You are a public servant. You're here to serve the public. You're here to uphold the law. You're here to honour your oath. Act with integrity, impartiality. Okay? You're not doing that right now. I suggest you start asserting yourself in a bit of a better way, Constable. I'm not taking the bike out of my car. It's mine. I bought it. I put it in the car. No, listen. You have no reason. You're frustrating me because you're speaking to me when I haven't committed a crime. Now, if I wasn't so clued up on the law, if I wasn't so clued up on the law, you would have been abusing my rights right now. Listen, Article 2, 10 or 8, take your pick. Why are you asking me about my property? pocket? What's in your pockets, mate? Show me what's in your pockets. Why are you asking about my private property? Why are you going to look? In fact, listen, hold on a second. Listen to me a second, right? I need a search record for you searching my car. How do you know the bike's in there then? How do you know that the bike is in my car? Because you looked in, yeah? That's a search. So I want the search record, please. I want a copy of the search record. And I want the reasons for the search also. I know the law. Did you just say my name? Yes. Yeah, don't do that again.
Now that is asserting himself, yeah? You see how he's taken his power back as the sovereign being, yeah? The sovereign being way above the police, okay? The police are our servants. He was treating them as his servant. This is how it should be. You know, we shouldn't be cowering in fear when we see a copper and he starts talking to us. Because if you haven't done anything wrong, he's below you. Okay? Yeah, that was very, very powerful. There's something I was going to say about it. I can't remember what it is now, but it's all gone. Okay, so moving on to just a quick one about these COVID-19 regulations. Yeah. So have you seen any shops around here that don't accept cash? Right? Well, you know what? There's two things about that. The Bill of Exchange Act 1882 says that if you offer, if you make an offer of payment and that offer is refused, well, the debt's extinguished. So if you offer and they say, no, we don't accept that, okay, thank you anyway. Right? Because that's what it says in the Bill of Exchange Act 1882. Okay? But if you want to, you don't want to get that kind of what's what I'm looking for? Confrontation. That's it. You could always just leave the money, the actual money, on the counter and walk out. Yeah, because you know you've paid for it. It's not your problem that they're not accepting it. You've paid for it. You've done your part. Okay. Don't go along with it just because they say something. This is a problem we have because as people who don't know they're sovereign beings, you know, the people less than us tell us what to do and we do it. Right? They say, we don't accept cash. Well, sorry, I've got cash. Walk out.
Do they have the right to take it off sale?
Well, they can't do it. If you pick something up, it goes to the counter and you're going to pay for it. No, we don't accept cash. There's your cash and walk out with it. They can't say you stole it.
But aren't they engaging in a contract?
Sorry?
They're not engaging in a contract.
What do you mean they're not engaging in a contract?
If they're not taking your money, they're not engaging in a contract.
Well, they've superseded the contract because, as I said, if you make an offer of payment, right, and they refuse that payment, then according
their offer of contract is the price on the
yeah.
on the
Yes, and you're making a payment with the legal tender, so if they don't want to accept it, that's their lookout. But again, if you don't want that confrontation and, you know, having the police called to say you've stolen, well, you just leave the money on the side.
So
Okay.
how does it stand if they've got it on their window or their door? We do not accept cash, and you go in.
So
Okay.
it's still legal, legal tender. They're supposed to accept it. Just because they changed their policy, yeah. It's the same with the mask mandates. When Morrison's changed their policy, well, that goes against the law. You know, your policy doesn't matter to me. Yeah. When they do lockdowns, well, you have a document from the Queen, a permit from the Queen that says you can go wherever you want. Yeah. On that page, on the front page, it says, Her Britannic Majesty's Secretary of State requests and requires in the name of Her Majesty to all those who may concern to allow the bearer to pass freely without let or hindrance and afford the bearer such assistance and protection as may be necessary. Does it say anything about ports or different countries? No, it doesn't. It's a letter from the Queen to her employees to let you go, to leave you alone. And people have used that successfully. So when their employees are talking about you have to have the jab or otherwise you'll lose your job. Well, your contract of employment doesn't specify that your employer can force you to undergo a medical intervention, yeah, on demand. It doesn't say that in your contract. Yeah? Your employer cannot unilaterally change your contract. You need to sign off on it. Okay? And sometimes what they do is they sack you and then take you on under another contract, and they'll put that in there. But until they do that, you're working on a contract. Okay? And if they sack you on the basis that you didn't take a vaccine and it's not in your contract, well, now you can sue them for breach of contract. Okay? So again, they make these mandates, yeah, and 9 out of 10 people go, okay then, suppose I have to. But you've got your protection right there, you've just forgotten you've got it. Also, the government are not a party to your contract. So the government can't impose anything on your contract because they're not a party to it. So yeah, if they impose a vaccine mandate, that renders them liable to breach of contract. So it's said, most people know already that forced or coerced mandated vaccinations are a violation of the Nuremberg Code. And this came out just recently. Hammersmith Police confirmed to a group of lawyers and Mark Sexton, who's an ex-policeman, that anyone sacked or being threatened with a sack in order to coerce them into taking a jab is a victim of blackmail. So it's been confirmed by the police now. So don't quit. If you're under threat of losing your job over not taking the vaccine, don't quit. Let them sack you, and then go after them, and you'll win that case. Okay? You get. Sorry.
Is that why IKEA has refused to give sick pay to those not jabbed? They're getting around it.
They'll try in all sorts of ways to get around it, but this actually just underlines the point that they're actually in deep trouble by trying to force people to get this jab. So they're sort of wriggling around it, you know. So there's also this is a notice of conditional acceptance. Now I wrote a book back in 2014, and the section on vaccines, I had this notice. So this came straight out of my book, and I've just added to it. So a conditional acceptance is basically saying, I'm happy to accept the jab on condition that you supply me with the following information. And you just ask several questions, I've got 9 there, that they should be able to give you in all good conscience. They should be able to give you the answers in all good conscience, but they can't because they don't exist. So it leaves you in a stalemate position, where you said, I'm happy to accept it, but the ball's in your court. You just give me this information, such as proof that the legal status of the vaccine is not experimental. They can't prove that, right? Because it is, right? At least one double-blind placebo-controlled study that proves the safety and effectiveness of vaccines. But they should be able to give you that, shouldn't they? But they can't because it doesn't exist. So you've got all these questions that do exactly the same thing, yeah? But they should be able to give these answers to you in all good conscience, but they can't because there's no such thing. Okay, leaves you in a stalemate position where they can't proceed because they need to give you these answers first, and you've already accepted, so you can't be taken to court or anything because you've accepted it. Along with this comes a liability statement that you get when you say, well, I also need you. I think it says on the bottom. You're required to return the enclosed liability statement. And that liability statement is saying that whoever is wanting to give you the jab, in this case it's a doctor, I've examined the patient and the patient does not have any of the following conditions, and these are all the conditions that you're likely to get if you get the jab. I therefore accept full responsibility and full commercial liability should the patient experience anaphylactic shock, autoimmunity issues, or subsequently be diagnosed with any of the above conditions as a result of receiving this vaccine. Nobody is going to sign that. Nobody is going to take responsibility for their actions. Right? Again, it leaves you in a stalemate position. and then you can't, or they can't proceed. So I'm aware of the time. How much time have I got?
Another 20 minutes?
Another 20 minutes, is that all? Bloody hell. I might have to skip council tax. I'm sorry. No. The thing is, this is part of the 8-hour thing, and this is the one that I have to skip if I'm running out of time. So sorry, you'll have to get you back for the 8-hour one, yeah? Sorry about this, I'm going to skip all this. Oh, I know it's painful. Give you a summary. Don't pay it. No, it's a big topic, so I'm really sorry. It's just I haven't got time, and the problem is every time I find new information, I just chuck it in there, and I forget about the timing and stuff. So
Is it on your website?
some of it is, but not all of it. I don't have time to put everything on it. Well, if somebody wants to organise something, I'm happy to. It's an 8-hour one, all day, 9 to 5. And there will be breaks. I'm not just talking for 8 hours, but yes, it's I go through everything, and you'll come away knowing how to deal with all this stuff. Okay, so bailiffs and debt collectors. Okay, again, I'm going to whiz through this. Again, TV shows give you the illusion that they've got power. Okay, that's why they're there. And half the scenarios on these shows are crisis actors, pretending that they can do these things. Okay, they've got no power whatsoever unless you give it to them. Just like a stranger coming up to you and saying, "You owe me a tenner, pay up." So what do you say?
I'd say you punched me twice, nicked me, now you're trying to nick my bloody money.
Yeah, so you say, "No, who the hell are you? I don't owe you anything." Yeah, but this is exactly who they are. What they've done, I think I've got. Okay, I won't say that. They also say they've got a warrant. They always say they've got a warrant. Okay. Now, a warrant has certain things that you should look out for. One of them is a signature from a judge. And these warrants don't ever have a signature on it because nobody wants to take responsibility for it. Okay? Has to be a wet signature, yes, an actual signature. Also, it has to have a court seal. Now, this is a court seal. You'll hardly ever see a proper court seal. This is just a stamp, a rubber stamp. Okay? One that I saw had a faker version of a crown in it, and it just said "the court" on it. Like I was going to be fooled by it, yeah? So you will never ever see one of these because courts hardly ever do these things. So when you're dealing with debt collector, they can only come in if you open the door to them. Because when you open the door to them, you're implying you're letting them in. By opening that door, you're just making that implication. And they're seizing on that implication. Okay? That's how they can stick their foot in the door. The warrant that they say that they have, which is essentially a blank piece of paper, right? If they're saying it's from a court, that makes them liable to the County Courts Act 1984, section 135. Falsely pretending to act under the authority of a court. That's 7 years in prison. You tell them that, and they hide that warrant very quickly. Yeah? So the thing about these debt collectors, they have actually just bought your debt. They've gone to the bank and they've said, "Any outstanding debts you've got?" And I'll say, and I'm going to pick on you because you're right in front of me. "Yeah, there's Davey. He's got £1,000 he owes." And the debt collectors will go, "Okay, we'll buy that for a tenner." Bank says, "Okay." So now the debt collector goes to Davey and says, "You better pay up, or we're going to threaten him and whatever," because it's very lucrative. They've paid out a tenner, and they potentially can get 990 plus whatever fees they want to add to it as well for a tenner. Okay, so all they did was bought the debt. The thing about that is, because the bank accepted a tenner for 1,000. That means that debt is paid off. So one of the things you can say is, Thank you, debt collectors, for paying off my debt. You should have come to me first to see if I'd pay you back, but you didn't, so I'm not. Yeah? Because that's what they've done. They're not acting as agents for the bank or anything. They've just bought your debt from you, or from them. So yes, you don't have a contract with them. They're just a company that you don't know. Yeah, they've just come up and said, "Oh, you owe us money now." Okay, you don't. They have no proof of agency. They're pretending that they're agents for the bank. They're not. They just bought the debt. Okay, so do not contract with them. So one of the things you can do is by your door, you can put a notice of removal of implied right of access. As I said, when you open the door to them, you're implying you're letting them in. You can explicitly remove that implication by this notice that you put by your door, or better still, on your front gate. So even before they get to the front door. And this one says, I hereby give notice that the implied right of access at the property known as whatever has been removed in respect of the following. And these are all the people that this applies to. Bailiffs, police, whatever. And you also give a fee schedule saying that if you violate this, right, the fine is £10,000. Okay? Knocking on the door or pushing a bell button will be deemed to mean that you agree to the terms and conditions of it. So it's an adhesion contract, take it or leave it, yeah? The other thing you can do is just put private by appointment only. Okay, just put that on beside your front door. If they want to make an appointment, well, they cost £3,000. You still want to make an appointment, you know? So again, they're companies doing business with you, so you can do business with them. Okay? So sometimes you get debt collectors being held by the police. Have you seen that? Yeah? So it turns out they're not allowed to do that. Yeah, debt collection is a civil matter. Police can't get involved. So if you see police helping a debt collector, well, now they're liable to Section 26 of the Criminal Justice and Courts Act. Abuse of position by a police constable causing another to suffer loss for the benefit of a third party. Yeah? So as soon as the police start helping a bailiff, you can say, hang on, that sounds like you're helping them. You know that makes you liable for this statute. They soon back off. They have to, yeah? Because it carries a 14-year prison sentence, which again has teeth. So this turns out to be the very first debt collector's letter that I ever sent, because when I was first trying to figure out how to do this common law stuff, this is the first thing I ever did. So I had a debt for $39, so I thought, if it goes horribly wrong, you know, I'll still be able to survive. So it's very simple. It says, here says, on receipt of your account statement for such and such, I admit to being somewhat confused because I don't have any record of opening an account with you, meaning I don't know who the hell you are. Yeah? This may be because of some error on my part, in which case I'll be happy to accept and discharge the $39.90 that you claim I owe you. However, in order to verify this debt, please provide me with a copy of the lawful two-party contract signed both by myself and a representative of Gem Recovery Systems that forms the basis of the obligation to pay the amount claimed. Please deliver this verification within 7 days. Otherwise, failure to do so will comprise tacit proof that Gem Recovery Systems is unable to verify and validate the alleged debt. Saying, prove to me there's a debt. If you can't, bugger off. And that's it. I never heard from them again. It's a very simple letter. That's my first one. It was a pretty crap letter, but it worked. Yeah? So, again, I'm rushing ahead. Dealing with banks, okay? So, when a bank lends money to you, where does the money come from? It comes from you. Yeah? It's legalised bank fraud. Yeah? You've been led to believe that banks have money. They don't. Okay? The banks create credit from your promise to pay. Right? So when you sign a loan agreement, right, on that loan agreement it's got an amount, it's got a date which you're supposedly to pay it back, and now it's got your signature on it. So now you've created a promissory note. Look in your wallet or your back pocket. Those pieces of paper are promissory notes. That's why it says, I promise to pay the bearer. It's just a promissory note. And you have this is later on, you have the power to create your own ones. Okay, but when you sign that loan agreement, you create a promissory note. All the bank does is take that note and cashes it. So they take that note and they go tap, 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 tap. And now you apparently have £10,000 or whatever. But it's £10,000 of credit in their banking system. Yeah, it's not real. They gave you nothing. Okay, it's just an illusion. Okay. So the other thing they do is they take that loan agreement, which is now a valuable security, because it is now worth 3 times the face value with interest. Okay? And they sell it on the securities market. So they've already sold that loan agreement. That loan agreement is the only evidence that there's a loan. So if you go back to them and say, can you show me the evidence that there's a loan between that I have to pay you? They can't give it to you. It's gone. So there is no loan. Right? So the proof of it is in the Bank of England's quarterly bulletin. It says, banks extend credit by simply increasing the borrowing customer's current account. That's it. That's how they create the money. They just type it in. That's it. And then you work your ass off for the next 10 years or something, trying to pay it back. Trying to pay this back. Yeah? Banks extend credit by creating money. That's it. But there's a further swindle to this. When the bank creates money, they only create the principal. They don't create the interest. So let's illustrate this. Imagine there's no money in the world, okay? And I go to a bank and I borrow £1,000. Okay? I spend that £1,000 into the world, and now there's a pile of money in the world, okay, £1,000. But I owe the bank £1,200 with interest. Hang on, there's only £1,000 in the world. Where am I going to get that £1,200 from? Now let's imagine that Davies also borrowed £1,000 from the bank, and now he spends it into the world. Okay? Now there's £2,000 in the world. Now imagine I'm a very savvy businessman, and I manage to get my £1,200, and I pay back my loan. Okay? Now how can Davey pay back his £1,200? Because there's only £800 left in the world. Davey's not going to be able to pay his loan off. He's going to have his house taken from him. That's how the game is. Okay? It's a rigged game. Right? It's like a game of musical chairs. Right? And it's so big that nobody can see it in operation. But whenever anybody pays off their loan, somebody loses a chair. And that's the rigged game. Okay? And you can see it in this game. It's a game that nobody ever finishes. Okay? The reason nobody ever finishes it because we all think the game ends when the last person still has money left. But that's not the end of the game. What would happen if that person carried on playing? What would happen? He'll lose. The bank will end up with all the money. Yeah? The game is rigged, so the bank always wins. And that's the system we're in. The bank always wins. Okay? And it's illustrated in this game, but we don't see it because we never finish the game. Yeah? So here's a letter for the bank if you've got a loan. Okay? So, dear Mr. Thief, I am currently performing an audit of my financial obligations as I found I might be the victim of fraud and financial malfeasance. And while I'm sure that such a reputable company as yours would not be a party to such misdeeds, I nonetheless feel I must be rigorous in my investigation into this matter. I agree to settle any financial obligation I might lawfully owe on condition that I receive the following documentation from you. Validation of thieving banks' valuable consideration pertaining to the alleged debt in the form of actual accounting of its losses. Well, the bank didn't lose anything. It literally just typed in a value into your bank account. Didn't lose a thing. So there is no accounting of losses. Okay? Verification of your claim against me in a sworn affidavit or hand-signed invoice in accordance with the Bill of Exchange Act. Nobody is going to sign their name to this fraud. Okay? So they can't give that either. A copy of the contract signed by both parties, therefore binding both parties. Whose signature appears on that loan agreement? Just yours. They did claim at one point, they did claim that, you know, when you go for a mortgage and you fill in that mortgage form, the lawyer puts an X, it goes sign here, here and here. Well, they claim that that X was their signature. So yeah, that's them trying to get out of it. But they haven't got a copy of the contract with both signatures, so that contract is null and void. Proof of claim that the funds advanced by self were thieving bank's assets from the outset, and were neither created for thieving bank by signature, promise, or promissory note, nor were they created upon thieving bank's books by mere bookkeeping entries as per Bank of England quarterly report. Well, they can't prove that because that's exactly what they're doing. Yeah? Proof of claim that thieving banks risked any of their assets regarding the loan, and if this is not the case, please prove that this was fully disclosed to the account holder. Can't do that either. Proof of claim that any contract of any element of fraud or deception is not null and void. So they can't prove that. It's null and void. Yeah. You grant them 14 days to reply, otherwise under full commercial liability and penalties of perjury. And this you can put on any document you want to stop them from phoning you all the time. You can say, I wish to deal with this matter in writing. I do not give your organisation permission to contact me by telephone. I warn you that any calls will constitute harassment and renders you liable for Section 1 of the Protection of Harassment Act 1997. Okay? Now, people have used letters like this, and here's an example of one of the replies. And I know you can't read it, so I'll read it. So, we appreciate that under Section 78 of the Consumer Credit Act, if you decide not to meet your obligations under the credit card agreement as they fall due, that we will be unable to take steps to enforce repayment of your card by court action. Nevertheless, we expect you to meet your obligations. So what they're just saying is, we can't make you pay this, you know, so, but please pay us anyway. Okay? So this, they go on to say, to try and frighten you by saying, where is it? Oh yeah, if you do not make your card payments as they fall due, we will report your default to the credit reference agencies. So when you get rid of one of your debts with one of these letters, they might threaten you that they'll put black mark against you in these credit reference agencies. All you have to do is say, go to Experian or whoever it is and say, I dispute this debt. Say, I dispute this debt. Now they have to go and prove that there was a debt, but they can't. So that black mark goes away. Okay.
Would there any background ever touched after that? And wouldn't that stop you ever buying anything online or being able to use any kind of bank service in the future?
It will possibly stop them from loaning you anything again. But you know what? Do you really want to do that anymore? Yeah.
Lots of stuff's online. You buy stuff.
No, not online. I mean, get a loan.
Any bank stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, once you know how you're being shafted, do you want to carry on being shafted? You know. Anyway. That's your choice. If you want to, feel free. Let's move on.
Just a quickie before we get off banks, please.
Yeah.
Direct debits, I've heard that they're a bit suspect.
I wouldn't say suspect because there's a useful thing you can do with direct debits. For instance, if you're paying council tax with direct debits, if you, I didn't go through your council tax, sorry. But if you challenge your council tax in a certain way, and you put at the end of your letter that if you fail to answer my query here, I'll not only stop paying council tax, but I'll be seeking all my payments up to date, you know, back. And then you can go to the bank and get a direct debit clawback and get everything you paid them back. And you don't have to go through the council for that, you just go to the bank. Right, so, yes, so, again, very quickly, how much time have we got?
You've got 5 minutes.
5 minutes, bloody hell. Alright, so presentment, things to get through the door, yeah? Best thing to do when you get one, no contract return to sender, yeah? Anything comes through the door, you know, you don't really like the look of, just scribble out the address line, write no contract return to sender, put it back in the post box. Yeah? With council tax, you do that when you first move into an area, they send you their letters, you just do that, just keep doing that. Eventually they'll send somebody round to hand deliver it to you. You steam it open, go, it's the council. Close it back up again, so write no contract return to sender and hand deliver it to their offices. Okay? They don't get a handle on you. Okay? Yeah, very quickly. You've basically got 3 days to respond to any presentment. Yeah? That's 72 hours, standard business practice. If you leave it any longer than that, your silence will be deemed as consent. Okay? I've got no time. Yeah, so if you do open it, because again, it's mail fraud if you open somebody else's letters, and the name in all capital letters is not you, it's your person. So don't open it, it's not your letter. So send it back. If you do open it, write open in error at the top. So you're saying that I opened it, but I'm not consenting to be that straw man. Yeah? You can issue a notice of rejection. I'll really go quickly with this. The notice of rejection is saying that you're a private company. Yeah? Show me that I've got a contract with you, or I've breached common law in some way. If you can't show me I've breached common law, I reject your demand for cause without dishonour. Yeah, if you have a contract, or if you can't show me a contract, I do not wish to trade with your company. Simple as that. Yeah? And you can add your fee schedule. So any letters that you send or read, you can charge for it. Any emails you send, any research you have to do, you can charge per hour. Yeah? You can even put an inconvenience fee or whatever. Yeah? You charge for your time. Okay, so common law solution, the promissory note. Okay? If you feel you have to pay, if you feel you really do have to pay, yeah, you can write a promissory note because there's no actual money. Yeah? The promissory notes you're handing around from your pocket, yeah? Well, they're just that. There's no money behind them. It says, I promise to pay the bearer £20. If you go to the Bank of England and say, I want my £20, yeah, they'll give you 2 tens and throw you out. Yeah? Back in the past, you'd take £20 to the Bank of England, they'll give you a whole load of silver. Not anymore. There's no money. Okay? This country's been bankrupt for generations. Right? So they're all IOUs and empty promises. Yeah? So if you are forced to pay, no time. If you're forced to pay, right, you ask the people, can you pay in cash? And if they say yes, which they will, right, you write them out a promissory note because it says in the Bill of Exchange Act, 1882, that a promissory note must be treated as cash. Yeah? This is just a promissory note. So this is my promissory note. It's a version that I made. I like to put it on fancy certificate paper to make it look grand. Yeah? But it's just got like the amount in numbers, amount in letters, yeah? I promise to pay the bearer on demand, the sum of. And I say under here, subsequent to the Bank of England having honoured their promises on their banknotes. They'll never honour their promises because there's no money. Yeah? So as soon as they honour their promises, I'll honour my promise. Okay? The difference I make with my promissory notes is I put a space for 3 witnesses. So 3 witnesses to sign that you signed it. Okay, that has power. Okay, I subsequently found out that other people get a notary public to stamp it. That gives the same power as 3 witnesses. Okay.
Are they obliged to do that for you for a fee, the notary?
Yes, they will charge you for that. But 3 witnesses will do as well. Now this is This is a ruling and more case law here from a case by Lord Denning. Okay, we've repeatedly said in this court that a bill of exchange or promissory note is to be treated as cash. It is to be honoured unless there is a good reason to the contrary, i.e. there's an arguable case based on a total failure of consideration. The point is, it has to be treated as cash. Okay, here's a case where a borrower used a promissory note to pay a mortgage. Okay, this guy in Ireland, right, he reasoned that back in 2010, during the banking crisis, the finance minister of Ireland went on television and he wrote out a promissory note for €31 billion. On television. He wrote this promissory note out, gave it to the Anglo-Irish Bank, and now they're out of debt on the basis of this promissory note. Okay? So this guy reasoned that if the finance minister can do it, well, I can too. Okay, so he wrote a promissory note out for the mortgage company, and he got taken to court, and the county registrar confirmed that it was a valid defence. He quoted the Bill of Exchange Act and Lord Denning's ruling, and it was a valid defence. Now, the first thing about this is that I could not find this story online. There's nothing online about this story. I had to get the actual newspaper clipping, okay? Now, I don't know what happened about this case, but, you know, you can bet if he lost that case, it'd be splashed all over the internet, wouldn't it? You know, man tries to pay his mortgage with a promissory note and gets put in prison, yeah? But no, there's nothing about it, so I can only conclude that he was successful with this. Okay, so I'm going to have to whiz past Magna Carta.
Was that
because,
recent?
Sorry?
Was that a recent?
Yes, it's very recent. And I can't remember the date as well. Right, so I've not got, hang on, I'm not quite finished. Not quite finished. Give me a second. Right, first of all, you've all broken the law. All of you. I don't know if you noticed my notice. See now, right in plain sight. Didn't see this.
Come see, now notice, put your mask on.
Notice, by sitting in this room, you agree to the following conditions. It is an offence to say the word banana under any circumstances. It is an offence to stand on one leg. So, because of that, you're all under arrest. Right, so let's get going here. So,
Banana!
you're under arrest, mate. No, okay. I need a volunteer. Stand up. You're under arrest. You followed my orders. Thank you. See how easy that was? He followed my orders. He gave authority over to me. Do you see that? You answered my question. Thank you. You're under arrest. Hello, sir. How are you today? You're waving at me. Hello. Oh, you're not talking to me now. You're not going to talk to me.
Rice versus Molly.
Well done. He's learned. Stand up.
I was reading your...
Stand up. Show. Thank you. You're under arrest. Oh, okay. For this next one, you're going to have to stand up for this one. No, look, I'll take my helmet off. Look, I'll take my helmet off.
You
Right,
might be in plain clothes, mate. I don't trust you.
Well, you got me. Very smart. Very smart. Okay. Have you had practice? Have you practiced? She said you had practice. You had practice?
Do you need to know the answer to that?
Okay. Too tough cookie, that one. Hello, ma'am. How are you? Right, I'm going to ask, now if you've seen somebody do something one way, you've got to try and find a different way to deal with it, okay? Because it's not, not going to make it easy, interesting for people. So how are you today, man? He's already done silence.
Answer with a
So are you
question.
gonna? So are you going to answer me now?
Under what authority do you ask me?
Because I'm a police officer. Can't you see my hat and my big nose? So what's your name? Hesitation, love one. No. I'll let you off. Oh, I know you. You're Chris, aren't you?
What's your name?
You don't have to run away. Look, I'm not a real policeman. I think you're guilty of something, mate. I think you're guilty of something.
That's not street light.
Wow, that must be really terrifying as a copper. Yeah, so I believe your name's Chris, isn't it?
What's your name?
Well, I asked first. What's your name? You're Chris, aren't you?
Where are you from?
I'm from. Okay, look. I'm trying to ascertain whether you're here legally, actually. So,
Why?
well, I need to know. I'm a police officer.
Tough luck.
So what?
So what? Is that a question? That was a question, wasn't it? That wasn't a question.
Yeah, all right, you got me.
No, that was a question, but that wasn't. I got that. Look, they'll trick you. These guys will trick you. I mean, I'm not going to get round to all of you, but can you see how easy it is to fall for their tricks? Yeah? By giving your authority away. Once you give that one bit of authority, right, they'll run away with it. Okay? So, yeah, look, I'm not even a real copper, mate. Right, so really, we've been living in Disneyland. Yeah, this fake world over the top of the real one. Okay, most people interact with that, never get to know the real world underneath. Okay, and this is it. You know, this is the clown world of the legal system and all that. They never get to work and interact with the truth. And this sums it up really. The chains that bind us are just illusions. As soon as you find out who you really are, that you're that sovereign being over the top of all of this, okay, you'll start acting like that guy who was talking to those two coppers. Yeah? You'll know your position above them and you'll act accordingly. That's all I want to say. Thanks very much.
The Sussex Assembly have organised this. Google us, find us, come and see me afterwards, and if you want to get more involved, you're very welcome to join us. There's no fee to join. And we're going for drinks now from Weatherspoons in Burgess-Hill. You're very welcome to join us. And so you Dave, obviously, we'll buy you a drink at least. And so thank you very much. Goodbye all.